It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelly, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time, and I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney, and join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise. Okay, here goes nothing.
Well, actually...
Oh, what now?
Before we get into any adventures or our topic of discussion, I have something kind of fun.
Fun? We're about to walk into this weird gravity well, and you're having fun?
That can wait. Trust me.
Trust you? It can wait? What are you talking about?
I have some cool, nifty gifties given to us by a fan that I want to talk about.
We're about to get sucked into a gravity well, and you have nifty gifties.
Yeah, it can wait. It will wait. I have that kind of authoritative power.
Well, then why not author our way out of this?
Shut up.
And how did you get gifts way out here? We're outside charted space.
Listen, if you think about these things too much, you're going to hurt your brain. Just go with the flow.
Fine. What do you got?
Okay, so I have a couple different gifts. A listener, Aaron, was in Japan and thought of us while he was there.
Oh, that's awful nice of him.
So, got a couple things. The first, I'll start with the non-Dragon Ball thing first, I think, even though the one Dragon Ball thing is not a surprise. But anyways, the first is you've seen these in stores. They're those packages that are like surprise little chibi toys.
Sure.
And this is a Godzilla one.
Oh.
And it's a Godzilla Soft V puppet mascot is what it's called. I can't read any of the other what this is because the whole package is in Japanese. And I could get either the original Godzilla, Burning Godzilla, Shin Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Ghidra, Hedorah, Mechagodzilla, Biollante, or Destroyer. And if I feel the package, I can't tell.
Fair. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose, right?
I think so. Okay, so it's like wrapped in a tube. Like it's like wrapped in like a little piece of like a cardboard sleeve so that you clearly wouldn't be able to tell.
Makes sense.
What you got. And it is... Oh, it's a Burning Godzilla.
Nice.
So, Burning Godzilla from the 1995 movie Godzilla vs. Destroyer, where at the very start of the movie, the island Godzilla is living on has a nuclear event, and he absorbs the radiation, and that causes him to be super powered, but also his temperature is rising, and when it hits a certain number, he's going to melt down, and Godzilla will die. That's the plot of the movie.
Rip Godzilla.
So, moving on to the Dragon Ball items. First is Senzu Bean Candy.
Oh, okay.
And this comes in a little pouch, like a little what are those, like the potato sack type of pouch, but obviously way smaller.
Oh, like a little like net bag kind of thing?
Yeah, what's that material? Burlap. Like a burlap.
Yeah, there you go.
Little pouch. It's got Korin on the outside. It says sensu beans, so it's got that tautology going.
Mm-hmm.
Inside is a little package of green candies. And I'm going to grab a couple here, and we'll find out what they taste like. So now we are officially a Dragon Ball unboxing podcast.
We are evolving the channel.
we gotta do our YouTube thumbnail has to be like those over the top reaction poses.
Of course, they're going to be Ginyu Force poses, I'm assuming.
Did you hear that crunching of me?
Mm-hmm.
That was very sensu beanie.
Very.
Okay, this is like a green apple and soap.
Ew.
That's what it tastes like to me.
Oh no.
Oh. Okay, that's unpleasant. Oh, okay. Oh God. I appreciate the thought, Aaron. And last is a Dragon Ball Daima Soft Bits, which is like it's in a box, and it looks like it's like another like little chibi mini pop type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I open it, I could get either Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Goku with Nyoibo, Goma, or Majin Buu. And
who are you hoping for?
I'm hoping for Vegeta, mostly because his pose is hilarious. It looks to me like he's got his arms just clenched at his side, and he's actually sticking his gut forward. Like he looks like Poochie Vegeta, like little paunch. He's got like a little paunch going. It's hilarious looking. It like he looks like chubby Vegeta.
Nice.
But aside from that, I think Majin Buu would be cool.
That would be a good one.
So let's see. This one, not in a pack, in a sleeve, and it's Majin Buu.
Hey.
And I'll have to post pictures that come with these. And he's a little cute little... Oh, it comes with a piece of gum!
Cool.
Okay, now I gotta try this piece of gum. And I promise I will try not to chew it for the entire episode, but...
No promises, apparently.
Well, if it's as soapy as the other thing, I'm gonna spit it out immediately. Okay, it's like a little white chiclet.
Okay.
And... Okay, it's just like a bubblegummy kind of flavor.
Typical bubblegum. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a slight fruitiness to it.
I like the thematic qualities of putting that with Majin Buu. That's pretty good.
Maybe a slight fruitiness to it. It's like that typical like chiclet kind of thing where it's got that like hardish candy shell.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you chew it, it's becoming more gummy. I am going to take it out so as to not record with a piece of gum in my mouth the whole time.
That's awful nice of you.
But definitely probably one of those pieces of gum that will lose its flavor within anywhere between 48 and 62 seconds.
So it's like fruit stripe gum. Got it.
Yeah. So yes, thank you, Aaron. That's very cool. I'll post some pictures when the time comes, and so you could see the the boxes and the packages. I should have taken pictures of them before I ripped them open, but whoops.
We'll know next time.
Yeah, but so it's cool to be thought of.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
That'll bring us into today's topic of discussion. I don't know, somehow we'll say because it brings us the gift of good episodes.
Sure. And they are good episodes. Let's see. This week we're doing episodes 26 through 29, I believe it is.
Yes, 4 episodes.
All right. So the first of which is episode 26, titled Nappa's Revenge. So we're down Yamcha, Chaozu, Tien, and Gohan seems to be having performance issues. What's a Namekian and a noseless monk to do? Well, their best, I guess. Fortunately, their constant mentions of Goku have piqued Vegeta's interest. It's halftime at the Battle for Earth, and it seems Vegeta wants to make an example out of the traitor Kakarot. In the meantime, the rest of the Z-Warriors do their best to deal with their impending sense of doom while Goku races to their aid. Piccolo decides to use this time to inflict a little emotional trauma on a 5-year-old. Gohan tries to leave in disgrace, but when Nappa prevents him, Gohan insults his mother. The media does their best to keep the world informed on the latest events, but unfortunately they get a little bit too close and get Nappa's attention. He decides to have fun during their break by wreaking havoc and destruction on the denizens of Earth. It's an intense action sequence with Nappa tearing through Earth's civilians and defenses like they're made out of paper. Ever play Godzilla when you were a kid, knocking over Lego buildings and roaring over the rubble? Yeah, kind of like that, but instead of Legos, it's an armada with air support. The mayhem continues when Nappa starts targeting cities, and the only thing that eventually stops the devastation is the end of the 3-hour time limit. While Nappa was out raising the landscape, Piccolo's come up with a plan to try and take him down. Grab his tail. But the strategy requires Gohan to deal the killing blow. Can he do it? Ratcheting up the tension for episode 27, titled Nimbus Speed. So Piccolo, Krillin, and Gohan are staring down the barrel of a topless and manscaped Nappa. Goku is still on his way and racing towards the battlefield on Kinto-un. So does Piccolo's plan work? Well, no, but this time the failure was Piccolo's plan itself. It turns out grabbing a Saiyan's tail doesn't always work. All Piccolo's done is open himself up to a concussion. We're now down to Gohan and Krillin defending the Earth. Oof, and Gohan just took a foot to the solar plexus. I think we're cooked, folks. Before Nappa can finish the job, however, Krillin jumps in to take on the giant alone. We get introduced to a new signature move for Krillin, and sadly it's a perpetual loser, the Destructo Disc, or kienzan. Think like a giant energy saw blade that cuts anything it hits. It almost worked, too, until Vegeta spoiled the surprise. However, Krillin manages to do something nobody else has yet. He's drawn blood and Nappa's undivided attention. This means Krillin is soon taking a nap. It would have been a permanent nap, but Piccolo manages to find his feet and hit Nappa with a blindsided energy blast. The boys are up against the ropes, but it looks like they may have found some hope. They can now sense Goku. Vegeta confirms the pending arrival of somebody with a battle power of 5,000. He correctly surmises that this is likely a minimum and not Goku going full out. He orders Nappa to execute the others before Goku can arrive and complicate things. This kicks the fight into high gear, with Gohan calling out Nappa and kicking him into a giant boulder. Nappa takes offense to this, and he tries his best to blast him to bits, but Piccolo jumps in the way to intercept the blow and save the boy. Which brings us to episode 28, Goku's arrival. So Piccolo has taken a killing blow in Gohan's place after fully realizing that he cares for this kid. It is an artistically and cinematically beautiful shot. The stark reality of Piccolo's decision colored in black and white. Master and student share a tearful goodbye. Goodbye to Piccolo, goodbye to Kami, and goodbye to the Dragon Balls. Despite Kami's fate being tied to Piccolo, he feels a moment of happiness for his worst half by finding someone to care about other than himself. Gohan mourns the loss, literally crying uncle. He's had enough. Gohan pours everything he has into a Masenko, his power spiking to 2,800, but it still has no effect. Krillin remarks that this may be the end for them. At Kame House, Baba's gunned down and has her crystal ball stolen so the crew can figure out what's happening. Nappa starts gloating and prepares to stomp Gohan like a bug, but Gohan is saved yet again thanks to Kinto-un. Goku has now finally arrived. He gets a recap of events from the general carnage in the area, and Nappa's gloating. He appears to move to engage Nappa, but instead he ignores him to revive Gohan and Krillin with a senzu bean. There's still one major problem, however. Without the Dragon Balls, their friends are dead for good. This displeases Goku. He decides to get serious and births one of the greatest memes of all time. It's over 8,000! Wait, I think I got that wrong. Anyway, Goku doesn't waste any time demonstrating the gap between him and Nappa. Nappa doesn't like having the tables turned on him, but it kind of seems appropriate for a bully. Which leads us to episode 29. Last one for this week. Lesson number 1. So Goku's here and he's kicking some oversized Nappa butt. And the one most surprised by this is Nappa himself. But after Goku gets his pounding of flesh for each Z-Warrior we've lost, Vegeta tries to get cooler heads to prevail. Nappa takes a breather and decides on a different strategy, using his head, or, well, his breath, I guess. But it might as well have been a burp for all it does to Goku. Vegeta decides to step in and leaves Nappa to distract himself with Krillin and Gohan. Goku sees his son and best friend in danger and decides to unleash the Kaioken technique to finish Nappa off. Now, I won't spoil specifically what happens because if you know, you already know. But if you're new to this, it's such a good scene that I really don't want to risk like your opportunity to experience it for the first time like I did. So I'm just going to kind of leave it at that there.
Okay.
But it looks like we're finally going to be doing this. Goku versus Vegeta. Goku tells Krillin and Gohan to head back to Kame House and then leads Vegeta to a new location for their bout in hopes of preserving the bodies of his friends. Except for Chaozu, I guess. And that's where we leave off with our episodes this week.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've been actually following along with us, A, good for you. You're a real one.
Keep it up.
And B, yeah, the ending of this is quite the... I mean, we're going to end up probably spoiling it, kind of, but...
I at least wanted to give folks a warning, like, hey, go watch this before we start talking about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so these episodes are awesome. The sequences where Nappa is fighting the military are, like, spectacular.
Yeah, they're straight up monster movie type stuff.
And they're so well animated, and, like when he's, like, tearing through the plane, it's so well drawn, too. Like, and the level of detail on that plane.
It literally looks like he's ripping through that plane like it's made out of paper.
Yeah, it's so cool. These are like we've talked about this, I think, the last couple times. We're in like the peak of this show in terms of everything. Like, even though there's stuff that I maybe kind of like better later when we talk about, you know, the first power up to Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 and the Cell Saga and the storytelling in that is probably tighter and better. This is the best in terms of the level of action, the attention to detail, the quality of animation, and the pacing.
Yeah, it hits a real sweet spot with this whole Nappa and Vegeta fight stuff.
There were a couple of slow moments right after Raditz, especially with, like, Gohan. Or was that right before? No, that was right after Raditz, with Gohan befriending the
robot.
Even that was okay. It was more the episode with the kids, the Oliver Twistiness stuff.
Yeah, and then just the general, okay, well, what's going to happen to these kids? Oh, I guess we'll never know.
So there were some slow moments there. And some slow moments on Snake Way, but once we got to Goku getting to King Kai, from then on, the pacing has been, like, perfect.
Yeah, and especially once the fights actually start, they put their foot on the gas and they don't let up until the very end.
And it's not like to say that it's constant action in these fights. It's just...
It's the constant building of tension.
Yes. Yes,
even the bits where I skip over a lot of them just because they're usually such quick cuts, but there's like a lot of jumps to other characters and like seeing where they're at and what's going on with them, and a lot of it, yeah, kind of becomes like them just repeating things that we already know or them learning information that we already know as viewers, but it still does such an excellent job of like selling to the viewer like, oh, these people really believe that they might not win this fight.
Yeah, it's very, very well done, and the tension is great. And we're going to talk about Nappa today, but first, I want to talk about some of the filler we've seen up to this point.
All right.
So Toriyama actually came up with the character of Gregory. I learned this recently. He even said during in an interview, quote, "During the story, when Goku was training at Kaio-sama's place, the anime staff said they wanted one more character, so I thought up the character of Gregory," unquote. I'll try to post the original sketches on our socials if we remember. But yes, he drew some original sketches of Gregory. He came up with the character. Basically, the anime staff was like, we need this to go a little bit longer. Do you have anything? And he was like, yeah. What if he has to get faster? So then, also, Toriyama contributed to the Princess Snake episode, being the one to suggest Goku come across a giant snake that tries to devour him along the way. So again, their anime staff coming to him and saying, hey, what do you got to make this go longer? Furthermore, notes from like the guidebooks, which are, I forget if this is from like I think it's from the Daizenshu, which are, they're just guidebooks that walk you through the series, walk you through both the in universe in canon explanations behind things, and also like the behind the scenes how it was done type of stuff. And they're filled with original sketches and art and stuff like that. The only one of these that's ever been released in English in a way that is kind of meant for people in America to get is, I forget what Daisenshu it is. It might have been the first one. It might have been the last one, but it has been released here as like the visual art of Dragon Ball, I think.
Okay.
It's almost just exclusively like a collection of sketches. So there was like minimal translation work that they had to do. It's called like Dragon Ball: A Visual History. You can get it on Amazon. It's like $30. Anyways, notes from these guidebooks say that the episode where Goku falls into hell is, quote, full of Toriyama sensei's ideas, but no specific points about which ideas and moments are his are mentioned, with the possible exception being that the cloud barrier allows one-way travel. There was a thing in there. This was never stated in the manga that, you know, when Goku jumps up and he hits his head on the clouds, but it is stated in a guidebook explicitly and not under the anime only information. The only other time that's done is in Daisenshu 7, is when it talks about Namekians being weak to whistling noises. That's from one of the movies and therefore anime only, but was confirmed to be an idea of Toriyama. So it was considered a little bit more of an official idea. This is canon in Dragon Ball. It's so inscrutable, it like borders on meaningless to me. like
I can see where you're coming from on that one.
This is where people are like, okay, so Toriyama came up with the idea that whistling actually hurts Namekians. He's confirmed to have come up with that. That's listed in Daisenshu 7 in 2 different places. The only other thing that's listed in 2 different places is that Goku hits his head on the cloud barrier. No one ever said Toriyama came up with that, but it being listed in 2 different places must mean Toriyama came up with that.
The logic checks out, I guess.
The logic checks out. It's just...
it's just why in that one particular book? Okay.
Anyways, Toriyama also specifically came up with the idea to have the moment where Goku eats the clouds along Snake Way. Toriyama also wrote a memo to the anime staff about the background of Planet Vegeta and the Saiyan and Sufurian or Tuffle races. So that particular episode is less a case of filler influencing the later story than it is of Toriyama fleshing out the story via the anime. I think we may have suggested last time, oh, hey, look, Toriyama took cues from this. No, he wrote it. He wrote, quote, Planet Plant is a difficult planet to live on as its gravity is unusually strong. However, 2 races live here. The majority of the inhabitants of Planet Plant are Sufurian. Their bodies are small, but knowledge-wise they have a comparatively advanced culture and civilization. The other race has an unusual small population, but their bodies are large and strong. They are a primitive warlike race called the Saiyans. Their biggest distinguishing characteristic is that they have tails, and every one of them seems to be a warrior, unquote. So that's a note that Toriyama wrote to the anime staff. Despite Toriyama mentioning its Planet Plant, that name isn't used until Dragon Ball GT.
Continuing with some of this anime stuff, so the idea of Piccolo splitting to fight himself was also a Toriyama idea. Toriyama also came up with the idea to have Launch chasing down Tien Shinhan as a love interest. He came up with it as part of an outline of things that happened in the year between Raditz's arrival and that of Nappa and Vegeta. Additionally, Toriyama came up with the character design of grown-up Upa, another one to post to our socials if we happen to remember at some point. It was Toriyama's idea to have Yamcha be a baseball player. Good for him. Toriyama also wrote a memo to the anime staff on the Cybermen and some ideas for filler moments for their depiction in the anime. But while the note is known to exist, all scans of it are of such low resolution that it's difficult to do anything but guess as to what its contents are. Namely, that Toriyama suggested they were a piece of biotechnology and that they should do flashy demonstrations of their powers to show off before fighting the Z fighters.
Yeah, so there's no like. It's such low resolution that you can, if you're good at
you could claim it says anything that you want, really. You
can make out biotechnology and you can make out like flashy demonstration of power, and the rest is like just so poor quality that you can't see it. The equivalent of like
is
smudged ink.
This is why we keep saying, folks, it's always important to keep hold of physical media. It's very important. So this is all just the filler that we've seen in Z so far. There's more to be seen in Z that Toriyama had his hand in, especially with the Otherworld tournament, and we know he did design work for the movies as well. But it shows that filler may have been a little bit more collaborative, even if it was just the anime staff giving Toriyama some very rough ideas, like, hey, we'd like to flesh out the Cybermen and focus on them a little bit more, and then Toriyama passing them some memos and notes in response. It's fair to say that while the anime may take liberties with Toriyama's ideas, and at times things may be contradictory to what we see in the anime, we kept enough of an eye on what they were doing to ensure they never strayed too far down the wrong path.
Yeah. I think this might be a bit of a Torishima thing. I know he was always, we talked about this, he was not always super impressed with other anime in general, and even the anime for Dr. Slump. He thought it just, basically, anime based on manga almost always, or very often, took the general idea and just did their own thing with it.
Yeah.
And he didn't want that. He wanted the anime and the manga for Dragon Ball to be like in lockstep with each other. Maybe even he was like constantly pushed. And I know by now he's not Toriyama's editor anymore, but he is just higher up within Shueisha, and he could still be influencing some of this and saying, hey, don't let this guy sit at home when you have filler. Like, go to him. Ask him and force him to give you at least something.
It's a pretty smart strategy, honestly, because it sounds like he's trying to go for like brand consistency.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing the thought there is that the more consistent the show is with the manga, maybe more copies of the manga will be sold.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a smart strategy. So while on this topic of filler, I got another quick note here. Way back in the Muscle Tower arc, there's a moment where Major Metallotron scans Goku and a bunch of English text appears on the screen, which appears to call Goku an alien, signifying that perhaps the idea was for Goku to be an alien almost all along. And a lot of people have pointed to this over the years, right? As you come to Dragon Ball decades later, knowing that Goku is a Saiyan, you're like, oh, look, they were already planting the seeds for this. This text is just lifted wholesale from the movie Alien. It's literally an exact replication of the on-screen text between Sigourney Weaver's Ripley and the computer system Mother. Remember, Toriyama called Alien one of his favorite movies, so he's literally just dropping in a reference to one of his favorite movies within a reference to another one of his favorite movies, because Metallotron's a Terminator reference.
Right.
I also think we're building up enough evidence that we should do a commentary for Alien one of these days.
I'm down. I love that movie.
Given things Toriyama has said over the years, the earliest he truly considered whether Goku was an alien was during his fight with Demon King Piccolo, when Piccolo wonders whether Goku is even human. That may just be a kicking off point for Toriyama to really start pondering the question, so it's somewhere in this time frame, around Demon King Piccolo, shortly before the start of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, that Toriyama begins thinking about aliens in Dragon Ball at all, and then he ultimately drops the Namekian stuff into the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, but it's only for Piccolo and Kami.
Yeah.
But he did not start thinking about this during Muscle Tower, at least not consciously at all. We get some new attacks in these episodes, so let's talk about them. There's the Destructo Disc, the it fails disc.
Yeah, yeah.
Also known as the kienzan. Kienzan literally means spirit circle cut, or would maybe be best translated as like cutting spirit circle. Something more grammatically correct than spirit circle cut. It's Krillin's signature move, and likely takes some inspiration from one of Toriyama's favorites, Ultraman. Various Ultraman characters over the years have employed a move known as the Ultra Slash, where they create a saw blade of light and throw it at enemy kaiju to slice them into pieces. It works in Ultraman almost all the time, of
course it does.
The difference. It first premiered in the original Ultraman series in 1966, which we know Toriyama watched. So the Destructo Disc is a little bit different in form and formation, but very similar in terms of use. This could be a couple different things. It could be Toriyama just doing one of his classic subversions, right? Whenever Ultraman does this, it tears stuff up. I'm going to do the opposite. And it could also be him kind of potentially keeping his audience in mind a little bit and not slicing someone to pieces.
I don't know, it doesn't stop him later.
It's true. It's true. When Ultraman does this, I'll have to try and post it. Ultraman is, at times, horrifically violent for entertainment for children. And I don't just mean like, oh, it's a giant dude beating up monsters. No, he like rips their arms off, gouges their eyes out, breaks their necks. Like, it's Ultraman is a sociopath, is what I'm saying. On. And technically, he's also a cop. So
I guess that makes sense.
So it tracks. We've got the Masenko next. The Masenko is an energy attack that translates as Demon Flash of Light. Technically, Piccolo used this technique first, but this was a filler sequence. It's when he's Piccolo Jr. and he like attacks, I think it's the farmer house, and he realizes for the first time how powerful he is. That's just filler. The real thing to note here is the name. It's the Masenko. It's the Demon Flash of Light. This is a clear tip-off to Toriyama's viewership that Piccolo's tutelage has rubbed off on Gohan, and he's at least partially a student of that Mazoku clan, and Mazoku was like demon clan, basically. It's also a bit of reclamation or rehabilitation for that clan and for Piccolo. If someone as good as Gohan can take these characteristics and even take on these attacks, how evil can Piccolo really be anymore? Also, let's briefly talk about it. This batch of episodes brings us the extremely famous line, "It's over 9,000!" This line is one of the more famous memes of its time, though, as we jokingly mentioned in our synopses, it's a mistranslation.
Yep.
Most fans by now know that the original line was "it's over 8,000," but for whatever reason, English localizations have always held that number as 9,000. It was originally "it's over 9,000" in the like Ocean dub, and then Funimation re-recorded it and still kept it as 9,000.
Of course. For the memes.
The memed line was delivered by Brian Drummond, who voiced Vegeta for the Ocean dub, it's not exactly lost to time, but it's only preserved by fans and online these days. There's no home media real releases of it. The home video and streaming releases of these early episodes that you can get these days contain the audio that was re-recorded with Funimation's in-house staff. Though once again, while we'll do a deeper dubs and history for Funimation dive someday, I should note here that the Ocean dub was owned by Funimation. It was just sub-licensed out to the Ocean Group for dubbing before Funimation had a staff of voice actors of their own. Every dub ever, even though fans colloquially call them like the Ocean dub or the Funimation dub, they've all been owned by Funimation. Funimation has always had the rights to Dragon Ball in the United States.
It's Funimation all the way down.
Yes. Except now it's Crunchyroll, which is Sony. You know,
some large company owns it. That's really all we need to know.
Three companies own everything now.
Yeah. It's great.
It's totally awesome for things like creativity and independent filmmakers. The line was clipped, remixed, and put together in a like YouTube poop type of video in 2006 by content creator Kageto-kun, and wound up amassing millions of views and becoming so popular that the phrase is now a pretty universally recognized meme for anything unbelievably in excess of expectations. It's definitely one of those memes that went to become so big that it's not a meme anymore and it's not cool anymore.
Agreed.
I mean, we use it in the intro to our episodes, and it's on my Vegeta shoes that I have, but it hit that death of the meme thing when it started being used officially.
Very true.
There's some really interesting discussions we could have, too, about like scouters and battle power, and we'll pepper that in throughout, but we'll save full-on scouter discussion for another time.
That's because today we're supposed to be talking about Nappa. So I think everyone's aware that Nappa's name is a pun, and being in the Saiyan classification, it's a pun on a vegetable, specifically cabbage. As far as Nappa's design, he's basically just a humongous, burly, bald guy. Where Toriyama got that from should be little surprise to anyone, but from movies. There are a great deal of mustache characters, especially villains in kung fu movies. One could even potentially pretty easily read Nappa's mustache as a Fu Manchu nod. While that may be, we think an alternative is more likely. We already pointed out that when Goku first goes to West City to visit Bulma and Capsule Corp, Toriyama pulled inspiration from the movie King Boxer, aka Five Fingers of Death, when he has an homage to Bolo Young fighting in street fights in that movie by having Goku fight in a street fight. We'll try to post pictures to our social media page, but if you look up Bolo Young and King Boxer, you'll see where Toriyama potentially pulled the idea for Nappa's design. Bolo Young is worth talking about a bit because he really does seem to be the inspiration behind Nappa. Not only does he have like a couple different appearances where he's bald and has a thin mustache, the other being a 1970 movie, The Heroic Ones, where he plays General Meng Chi Hui. But Bolo Young was very popular. The height of his popularity peaking in 1988 when he was the main antagonist Chong Li in Bloodsport opposite Jean-Claude Van Damme. He would already be familiar to Kung Fu fans, though, from King Boxer, and also his appearance alongside Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. Young was a physical specimen in his day whose bodybuilder physique led him to playing a lot of heavies and villains in Shaw Brothers and Golden Harvest movies and many Bruceploitation movies as well. He's even fought Brandon Lee in the film Legacy of Rage. So Bolo Young began his martial arts training at the age of 10 in Canton under several different kung fu masters, gaining an interest in bodybuilding and later becoming Mr. Hong Kong bodybuilding champion, a title which he held for 10 years. He had a close friendship with Bruce Lee, having met on the set of a cigarette commercial, which is what led them to appearing in Enter the Dragon. Young has naturally lost a lot of his muscle mass as he's now 78 years old, but he still trains in martial arts and looks great, actually. He's a private person, and all people really know about him is that he can be spotted at his local gym occasionally in Monterey Park, California. Toriyama would have been proud of him, as he's so private, he's never revealed the names of his wife or children.
What a guy.
What a guy.
After Toriyama's heart right there.
Right. Just keeping everything to himself. Since we want to cover all our bases, let's also point out that this was during the height of Hulkamania, and Hulk Hogan also has a somewhat similar style mustache to Nappa's. It's less close than that of Bolo Young and King Boxer, however, by quite a bit. But you never know if Toriyama saw the mustache hero of wrestling and thought he'd like to play with that for a villain, being reminded of a character from a movie that he liked.
Yeah, Toriyama's used wrestling before, so it seems possible.
I would say so.
I found a pretty neat article actually published by the official Dragon Ball page, where one of their editors and writers spoke to a PhD in psychology specializing in leadership and teamwork studies about the relationship between Nappa and Vegeta. He contested that their relationship was one of pure convenience because they had a shared goal and that despite their somewhat casual communication with one another, they were not actually close. He says that although there's a clear hierarchy between the two, with one being stronger than the other and one listening to the other, it's less a sign of a well-organized team and more akin to a pair of delinquents who organize in a hierarchy out of fear of the strongest. In this type of relationship, teamwork is disallowed, and the high point possible is entirely that of the leaders, Vegeta's, limits. Without true collaboration, they remain blind to anything Vegeta is blind to because he will accept no feedback or input from Nappa. Vegeta only views Nappa as an asset on the battlefield where he himself is already more than capable and more capable than Nappa. Therefore, he views Nappa as entirely expendable because Nappa adds nothing of value to the team. A true team attempts to work together to accomplish goals that individuals cannot accomplish on their own. So like the Z Fighters, for instance.
Yeah.
Who managed to slow down Nappa and Vegeta enough to give Goku a chance to save the Earth, even if he doesn't save all of them. Vegeta was capable, or assumed he was capable, of accomplishing his goals with or without Nappa, so there was never a true team or relationship there. We're going to be talking about this more and more, but Vegeta places value not on process, not on growth, but on results. As such, Nappa is discarded when he can no longer produce these results. Contrast this with Goku, who from his first formal training with Roshi has been told that it's good enough to just be better than he was yesterday. Whether he wins or loses, as long as he earns well, learns well, lives well, eats and sleeps well, and continues his Shugyo, or his training, he's on the right path. Spoilers for this 40-year-old manga arc, but at the end, both Goku and Vegeta are completely incapacitated, and neither one considers themselves to be the winner of the battle. Goku realizes that without outside help, he would have lost to Vegeta, and Vegeta sees it as a crushing defeat at the hands of people he assumed were weaker than he. Goku's excited about the prospect of fighting Vegeta again someday and happy with how well he fought. Vegeta's dejected, embarrassed, and vows revenge. This first defeat is what causes Vegeta to ever consider that there might be something he can't do on his own and starts him on his ultimate path to redemption and true change. Nappa, circling back around, is one of the most heavily edited characters in the original Ocean dub of the DBZ anime. When he blows up the city on arrival, Vegeta remarks it's a good thing the city was empty. Not something that was done in the manga, and not something that I think is maintained in the Funimation redubs.
No, I don't believe it is.
As he kills the journalists trying to televise their fight, they're called cargo robots, and it's explicitly stated at times that the military, it's like, oh look, he parachuted to safety. When Chaozu blows himself up, he's not trying to kill Nappa, he's trying to take him to another dimension. Mm-hmm. Tien says when his arm gets cut off, he can grow it back, so it's no big deal that it was cut off. Also, during Nappa's rampage against the military, various lines are altered to imply that nobody's being hurt. Nappa's a pretty classic example of the dumb muscle trope, the big hulking brute who has almost no common sense or perception, and we see that a lot of times, especially with like the Destructo Disc piece.
Oh yeah.
Also, it's interesting that while very often throughout this series, we'll see fighters become stronger and more dangerous as they let go of control more, Nappa appears more capable and dangerous the more under control he is, the less he lets his emotion go. This is an inversion of Sun Wukong, too, if we want to try to circle back to Journey to the West at all. Sun Wukong sometimes lets his animalistic rage burn out of control and thus becomes extremely powerful, if even unstoppable, which is why he has to wear that headband that hurts him and brings him back under control. I wonder if there's a Saiyan character we'll meet in the future, perhaps in movies, who has a headband or something that keeps his emotions under control.
That seems like a stretch.
That seems like a very specific thing to wonder about.
Yeah.
Nappa is more powerful, though, seemingly, the more under control he is. It's an interesting reversal of a lot of what we've seen so far. That's like all of our notes about Nappa. As for the character himself, he's kind of become like a bit of a fan favorite, I think, over the years, in a way.
Yeah, I think so. Because he's one of those villains that doesn't get redeemed, and so it's okay to just, like, celebrate his villainy, I guess.
Yeah. You see a lot of people, I think, very similar to Raditz. You get people who are like, oh, I wish we could get Nappa back. And I think it's that lack of redemption.
Yeah.
People want to see Nappa come back because they want to see him confront Vegeta.
Yeah, I think that's also a big part of it, too, is that revenge angle.
Yeah. I also think people get that, like, oh, what would he look like if he went Super Saiyan because he doesn't have hair?
It's got the eyebrows, though, and the Fu Manchu. I could see, like, Super Saiyan 3, and it just gets, like, a really long, like, waxed mustache.
Have you seen, there's, like, various fan art.
I have not bothered to look it up, but I feel like maybe I should.
I think I might be speaking completely out of my butt here, but the show Super Dragon Ball Heroes, which is like a tie-in to the collectible card game of the same name, which is a whole game it's a whole thing that's basically like, oh, look, here's a whole bunch of fusions, here's a whole bunch of characters that died and they come back extra powerful and things like that, to have a thousands of cards in this collectible card game, right?
Yeah.
I think in that anime, which is again a tie-in to this game and exists solely to create characters to sell as cards for this game, I think Nappa has returned, and I think he has gone Super Saiyan 3, and I think it's just like his mustache grows crazy.
Excellent. Yeah, I want to see him with like a big old like Dr. Robotnik mustache.
I think if you just Google like Super Saiyan 3 Nappa, you see, oh, it's not as crazy. It's like
the what? Some of these are pretty good.
Some of them are hilarious. The one it does. There's one that does have like a Dr. Robotnik look to it. But
I like the inclusion of a beard in a lot of these instances. It's pretty good.
Yeah. But so yeah, he has become a character that people want back. I would prefer to see Nappa back more than Raditz if you were gonna force me to pick between one of those two.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Mostly just because, like we were saying earlier, like the revenge angle with Vegeta and like having it be an opportunity to sort of explore Vegeta's character and like why he made the change that he did and why he wants to be a better person.
Right. I also think, and this was like, I think this was some filler in Super. They brought Nappa back as like a ghost to battle Krillin, and it was like part of some training or something for Krillin. I think the reason I would like to see Nappa back more than Raditz is really who witnesses the battle against Raditz, really? Goku and Piccolo. That's it.
Yeah.
Gohan sees some of it, but not all of it. He's like incapacitated at various points. So really all of the like trauma and everything of Raditz is just going to be Piccolo and Goku. I like the idea of bringing Nappa back, and you could have the Z Warriors as a whole remember,
take him on, yeah,
and remember. You know, there's a lot of things. Now the show would never do this, and I know they would never, because when they brought back Cell, they had Gohan no react to it.
Yeah,
but you could have a lot of really interesting things with Nappa coming back and like seeing Tien again and Yamcha, all these characters that he's killed, you know, and having their reactions to Nappa being back. I think that would be interesting. Again, I don't think the show would do it. I don't think the show necessarily needs to do it either.
No, I don't think it needs to, but I mean, like if we're talking about fun little scenarios just for fun, yeah. This sounds great. Yeah.
Nappa serves his purpose, though. He definitely does. He's there to build up Vegeta.
Yeah, definitely. He really helps to highlight the difference in strength between Vegeta and everybody else.
Right. It's what we talked about with the Cybermen and how the Cybermen exist to illustrate Nappa's strength over everyone else. Now you've got a person who's leagues beyond that.
Yeah.
You're
and I think it also does a really good job of helping solidify in people's heads like how these scouters work and like what the numbers actually represent and the kind of scale that you're talking about.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it helps solidify some of the worst about what scouters are. We'll talk about. I mean, we're gonna just keep talking about it because scouters are gonna appear all the way through the Frieza saga. So, but just to get my thoughts out there in as few sentences as possible, this is a device that was brought in specifically to show us that attempting to measure scientifically a concept as esoteric as someone's ability to channel their ki is a fundamentally flawed idea.
Yeah.
And this fandom has unfortunately attempted to do that ever since these things have been introduced.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Like everyone has taken the exact wrong lesson from scouters.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time we've seen that in popular media.
Right. But yeah, so Nappa's a cool character, serves his purpose.
And he does a great job. Yes, I also greatly enjoy the Nappa. Okay, can you author us into a little bit more waiting?
Being a Dragon Ball Z spoof, I probably could.
So do it.
Well, that'd be boring, though.
I could do boring for a change.
Not me. We owe it to our listeners to finally stop fillering things. What will we find inside the planet's gravity source? Find out next time. For real, I think. And help us achieve our final forum.
Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.